Claas congratulates the Vanderloop equipment team for its well-deserved recognition. For more than 25 years, Vanderloop has been one of the leading retailers of Claas Jaguar forage harvesters throughout the U.S. We at Claas are proud to be part of the Vanderloop team.
I grew up on a farm. My dad farmed. Farmers can be a unique breed, and I'm fairly used to them because they're kind of like my old man. So in that case, these are the people I actually like talking to. So it actually really isn't all that draining. There are days that are draining. Don't get me wrong, they happen. If you got, second cutting and everybody's freaking out and stuff's breaking or whatever the case is, it gets exhausting, answering the phone constantly and working with people because they're frustrated. You're frustrated. They're frustrated. It gets hard, but I actually kind of like it. I don't mind it. I would probably say to deal with them, a lot of the times they're not actually angry at you. And I think that's a big step of learning. They're not actually mad at you. They're just frustrated as a whole. Letting them vent and get their anger out first before you start going, okay, how do we want to tackle this? What do we want to do? Sometimes they just need to vent. I hate to say it, but they just need someone to just kind of get upset at, and then we can move forward. That's actually the biggest thing, is just letting them vent. And then, once they've gotten that out of their system, then go, okay, so how would you like to proceed? What would you like to do? What do we need to do to right this and do it that way? And you got to take it with a grain of salt. It sucks getting yelled at, but it's keeping in mind of they're not directly mad at you. They're just frustrated with, choppers down and so didn't show up, and now I got a blown tire on a semi, and now that's slowing me down there. It's just taking everything kind of with a grain of salt, and knowing they're frustrated. I get frustrated. I fly off the handle, I'd duck other things too, and just knowing it's okay. It's for a short moment, and you can make it better, or at least try, and that's the best you can do, and that's okay. And take it with a grain of salt. They're not mad at you personally. Right. Yeah. It's hard sometimes, but it's important. That makes a big difference. Yeah. Makes it less exhausting at the end of the day. Yeah. I see so many people in a day, and I talk to so many people in a day that I'm like, God, what's a memorable one I have? I can think of a few off the top of my head, but I think the one that comes to mind is when I first started, and I hadn't really done a lot in parts. I mean, I'd literally gone from, installing GPS guidance in tractors to, okay, now I need to find the correct coupler for the back of a tractor, depending on if it's Power Beyond, whatever. I was a little nervous when I first started. And a customer of ours who isn't far from us, he's been a customer for a very long time, had come in, and I'm pretty sure it was storming that day, if I remember correctly. He came in, and he's always super nice. Came in and he was looking for a part that he had bought in here once before, but it had been years ago, and it was really hard to find. And he's like, I'll help you try to find it, but we're sitting there, we're digging through it. I'm struggling. I'm starting to get frustrated. And he's got to be the most patient guy in the world. And we ended up finding it, and it was great. It was a huge self-esteem booster of yes, I found it. We can actually do this. That's probably the most memorable one to me, because it was huge on confidence. I was already nervous starting, not having, the 100% pro, I know where everything is in the parts book. And just knowing that, again, it goes back to this whole, farmers get frustrated easily, but they are also very good people, and they understand, we're here to help you. If it's going to help me, I will help you. That was a huge thing to me. So he's still my, one of my favorite customers too. He's a good guy, but that's probably the one that pops into my head the most of a memorable story. That was a big point, because then I felt yes, I can do this job. It gave me the confidence. Yeah. When I first started, that was huge. So my background was originally in agronomy. So plant doctor, I like dirt. I mean, yeah, granted, we're selling stuff that works the dirt, but I know more about the dirt than I do sometimes about the tractor itself. Yeah. But it does help, and even with the Trimble stuff too. Well, now with ACWA's partnership or acquisition of Trimble, now that's going to kind of step right back into that. I'll be able to do that again. But the agronomy background, I would say, has actually helped in the case of because we used to watch moisture in plants. When do we need to be cutting? All of that kind of still ties in with the chopper aspect of, we're having plugging issues. Is it actually because of the chopper itself, or is it because the moisture content's too high of whatever you're actually chopping? They do kind of go hand in hand to some extent of some diagnostic, but they are still a lot different. Dirt and parts are very different. So, but even the Trimble stuff too, I mean, a lot of it was plug and play, and a lot of it was working with hydraulics, but in electrical. But other than that, I wasn't messing around with alternators. I wasn't messing around with anything on the engine that it helped, but it's still very different going from that to where I am now.